today. A wealth of information. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker of the evening, Mr. Victor Antonio. He's an author, sales trainer, and motivational speaker. Victor is proof that the American dream of success is alive and well. A poor upbringing, that is, from one of the roughest areas in Chicago didn't stop Victor from earning a BS in electrical engineering, an MBA, and building a 20-year career as a top sales executive and becoming CEO of a multi-million-dollar high-tech company. Prior to being CEO, he was president of global sales and marketing for a $420 million company. He was tasked with building a global sales force, establishing contract agreements, developing financial pricing models, and in charge of developing the corporate brand and marketing the company's services for a worldwide acceptance. As vice president of international sales in a Fortune 500 $3 billion corporation at the time, he was selected from over 500 sales managers to join the President's Advisory Council for Excellence in Sales and Management. His keynote address today will focus on winning through influence, selling beyond your own expectations. Get prepared to learn how to influence the buying process and increase buyer satisfaction. Learn how to position your product by framing the context of the conversation. Find out how to reduce buyer resistance and gain their acceptance by employing simple-to-use strategies and tactics. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Start making noise right now. I want you to make that noise until he gets to this stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the master of sales motivation, Victor Antonio.
How you guys doing? Make sure everybody good? Great. Everybody good? Great. All right. Before I get started, I always ask this question. I got two presentations. I got a boring one. I got an exciting one. Clap if you want the boring one. Clap if you want the exciting one. All right. Last question. By the way, clap if you don't care as long as it's good and it's short. No. So you weren't supposed to clap on that one. By the way, thank you for having me. By the way, Clifton, give him a hand. Him and his team. Just fantastic. Just a reminder, after I'm done the award ceremony, please don't miss that, and I'm going to get going. And my PGA friend, Angelique, is that Angelique? You know, I'm in. I'm sold. You know, you talk squirrels, nature, drug dealer. I'm like, cool, let's do that, right? Like, I'm in. Sign me up. But anyway, I want to give you some information. But before I give you the information, I got to know that you're mentally prepared. So free your hands for just a second. Just free your hands. With your right hand sign, give me the okay sign. Now here's what I want you to do. Go down to the middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, and work that sucker all the way back up. Did anybody have a problem with this? If you did, leave the room. All right, left hand, same thing. All the way down, all the way up. If you had a problem with that, you know what to do. Now, here's the true test. NSN, do not fail me. Here's what I want you to do. With your right hand, give me the okay sign. Here, wait, put it in. With your left hand, listen carefully, instructions are very important. Put your thumb on your pinky finger. Listen carefully. At the count of 3. Wait till I count to 3. What I simply want you to do is real easy. Go down with one and up with the other. Simple, 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 simple. Okay, count of 3. Didn't I say wait till I count? Didn't I just say wait till I count? All right, the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, do it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you might want to, forget it. By the way, it's visually disturbing. From up here, I'm seeing grown folk going, I can't do this, right? Now, here's what's interesting about that. Why was it easy to do with one hand? Because you've always done it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? But when I asked you to do something that you've never done, was it a little difficult? Yes or no? Yeah, this is called multitasking, but studies have shown that if you practice this for 31 days, it becomes a what? Habit. That comes with a warning at the bottom. If you walk around the street doing this, people will think you're special, and we don't want that. And if you practice at the office, you're not going to get that raise. You everybody with me? You guys ready to learn? Yes or no? All right, you guys are ready. I want to talk today a little bit about, let me see if I get my slides going here. I need to switch over that one. That one right there. Projector, switch that projector. Yeah. Now. Like right now. And it's there. No. D. There you go. There you go. One of them deals. There you go. Bam. Okay. Bam. Dude, that's a good looking dude. I don't care what you say. That's a good looking dude. All right, let's talk about selling. Would you agree that today's client is concerned about the economy? Yes or no? Yeah. Absolutely. They're concerned about their job. They're concerned about inflation. They're concerned about debt. This is what we're dealing with as salespeople. They're less optimistic. They're less willing to take risks. And they're less willing to buy and less willing to spend more than necessary. Are you with me? Because as salespeople, this is what we're dealing with. Now, forever sales will be known in two slices, two epochs, so to speak. There was before the internet and after the internet. That's how sales will forever be known. Because before the internet, we as salespeople had all the information, right? We were the curators of that information. We had the information. People wanted to talk to us to get that information. Today, people go online and do they want your information? Yes or no? They do the research. They go online. So the internet has changed everything, which means the result of that is that today's client is more knowledgeable. You with me? More demanding, yes. More sophisticated, more cautious, less tolerant, less accessible, less loyal, and also less trusting of people. Yes or no? This is the market, the environment we deal with. So the question is, how do we become good at selling? That's why I'm here. Now, you can study this and try to be good at selling. Here's what typically happens. We want to be in sales. We want to sell. And what we do is we go out and what? Learn. How many folks have ever been to a training seminar? Raise your hand. A sales training seminar. What do they give you at the end of that seminar? The 3-ring binder. Remember that? Remember the 3-ring binder? What do you do with that 3-ring binder when you get back to your office? You put it on the shelf. And once in a while, do you ever open it up again? No. Once in a while, you pass by it, hoping it'll inspire you, or you touch it, hoping osmosis kicks in and you remember stuff. But it doesn't work that way, does it? And you've read the books. You've read books like this, How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins, great book. You read that, man, I've mastered the art of selling. I'm good. Nope, not yet. Neil Rackham comes out with Spin Selling, Situation, Problem, Implication, Detail. So you read that. Fantastic book. Then you say, whoa, got to read something about solution selling, so I'm going there. I read that book. Then I read this one, How to Sell to Big Companies, because I don't deal with small companies. I just deal with what? Big companies. So then, How Winners Sell. Look at that. 21 proven strategies to outsell your competitors. You read that, you're like, okay, I'm fired up. I think I can do this, right? So you read that and say, my God, we can't forget this. The psychology of what? Sell. Yes, I am fired up to sell. Let's go sell something, right? Then you read, my God, they have a sales Bible, right? Jeffrey Gitomer has a sales Bible. At this point, you should feel enlightened. But then he comes out with this book, the Little Red Book of Selling, 12.5 Principles of Selling. So if that's the Bible, what does that become? The New Testament. Catch up with me, okay? Come on. So you read that and you're like, I got it, right? Then you read strategic selling. You say, okay, I got to be strategic about how we sell. But then they come out with what? The new strategic selling. It's frustrating, but you read that and you think you got it. Then you read, it's not about strategic anymore, it's all what? Conceptual. Okay, I'll read that. I think I got it. Then they come out with the what? The new conceptual selling. So then you go to this one, Selling Results by Bill Sinnott. See you at the top, Zig Ziglar, my man, there he is. Then you read Investigative Selling, because it's all about asking key questions, right? Got to know how to ask those questions, uncover those problems. And then you got to talk to who? Vetoes. You got to sell the top, right? What are vetoes? Very important top officers. We only deal with important people. If you read that, can't forget cold call, pick up the phone once in a while. Got to call somebody. Learn that. Now your brain's going, I think I got it, right? So then you read technical sales. It is technical sales. And you read that major account sales strategy. Okay, and how to deal with major accounts. And then you say, oh, my God, is not a strategy. 6 keys to winning the complex sale. You're like, yeah, I got this. But then they come out with mastering the complex sale. That's not good enough to know about it. You got to master it. And then, yes, I've got to be relationship selling, customer intimacy. Let's get close to our guys. Let's virtually hug them. And so you read that and you understand relationship selling. I understand relationship. No, you don't. Because then they come out with this book. Understanding relationship selling. See, it isn't enough that you know. You got to understand what you know. Big difference. But then they come out with this book that says, I didn't realize this. Maybe you knew this. I did. Relationships have an edge to them. So we got to figure that little baby out. How many know-it-alls do I have in the room? Raise your hand. Come on. Okay. You know what's funny? When I ask that question, here's what I say. Dude, that's you. Raise your hand. All right, raise your hand. That's you right there. Everybody looks over. Because then they come out with the official know-it-all guide. What? relationship selling. So you read that, you go, I think I got it. Then they come out with a challenger sale because it's no longer about letting them talk. You got to take control of the conversation, the mind of the customer. All this is in your head right now. And you've got to go out there and sell. But I know what your issue is. Don't worry about it. I've come here to help you. Listen carefully. I only came here for one reason. One reason only. Listen carefully. Because I love you. Okay? So because I love you, I decided to write a book. Why not? Mine is called Selling Ain't Hard When You Know How, right? So that's it. Breaking it down. I'm going to break things down so it's so simple you'll walk out of your understanding of selling it today. So here's my equation. I know freaking some of y'all with the mathematics. Don't worry about it. This is the ultimate sales system. First thing you need to do is empathize with the customer. Am I right or wrong? You've got to understand. Now, there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Let me give you a visual so you'll never forget the difference. You're standing on the deck of a boat, minding your own business, enjoying the sunrise, right? All of a sudden, some guy stumbles over, goes over by the banister, starts puking his guts out over the banister. And you say, damn, that must hurt. That's sympathy. Now, if you went over there and puked with him, that's empathy. Never forget that. Big difference. Why does that matter? Because if we don't understand our customers' pain, how can we sell them effectively? Let me give you a tangible example. Remember this company, Hyundai? Butt of jokes back in the 90s. Remember? Everybody, Glengarry, Glen Ross, what do you drive? I drove a BMW. What do you drive? Hyundai? Remember that whole scene? Right? So Hyundai had a problem. They were only selling 7,500 units per month. So what was their problem? Well, here's the problem. The brand was that known, and they had a poor perception of quality. That was the problem. The reason the market wasn't high, they didn't trust the quality. What if it breaks down? Worried about maintenance, so people weren't buying. So then Hyundai understood that. They understood the customer's pain. And so what they said is, hey, let's do this 10-year program, $100,000. Not 10, not 25, not 30, not 40, not 50. We're going to go what? Straight to 100,000 miles. Did that help them? Boom. Yes. But then a new problem came their way. Several years later, that happened. The recession came. Now nobody was buying cars again. Their sales bumped, but the recession killed their bump. What was the client paying? Fear of losing their job. What did Hyundai do? Who remembers what Hyundai did? They understood. They were validating with the customer. They understood the customer. What did they do? Financing. That was it right here. I think I heard it. They had a buyback program. Remember this? If you lose your job, we'll buy your car back. Amazing. They understood the customer's pain, implemented the marketing strategy within 37 days. How did it work? Let's check it out. All of a sudden, after 1 year into the program, this is important, less than 100 people actually took advantage of it. Isn't that amazing? Less than 100 people. When they stopped the program in 2011, because it was too successful, right? Guess what? Less than 350 people actually took advantage of that offer. But the bottom line is, it went from 9,700 units to 14.5 thousand units a month because they understood the customer's pain. Sometimes we're so focused on some of the features and the benefits, we're not focused on what's hurting them. Why aren't they making a decision? Why won't they buy? So the first step in the process is to actually understand what the customer's feeling. What are they going through? Second step, you got to educate them, right? Let me ask you a question. Do not fail me. Do clients want more information? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. No! Clients don't want information. I mean, every day, the amount of information being produced on the internet, they don't want more information. What they want, if you were watching the video, is insight. My definition of insight, if you heard the video, was information beyond the obvious. Listen carefully. You want to be a better salesperson today? Give them insight. You've got to understand, today's buyer is going online. Remember back in the day you were buying a car? Let's go back to the 1980s, right? You're buying a car breaks down, trigger event. Now, there's no internet, so what do? Come on, old school, what do? Was that? Find a color blue books, go to Yellow Pages, start looking at price, ask a couple friends, hey, what do you drive? What do you drive? Like your car? Like your car? Right? And then we go to the dealership, and we spend what? 2-3 hours with them. You with me so far? Today, the buyer, car breaks down, trigger event. Do they go to the dealership right away? No, they go online. They start defining the criteria. They start looking at different options, different prices, invoice value, Edmunds.com, Blue Book value, right? They got all this information that by the time they get to the dealership, do they want a relationship with you? Yes or no? No, they want a transaction. Did you know on average, a buyer who shows up to buy your product or service is 50 to 70% into the buying cycle? Listen to that. They're 50 to 70% into the buying cycle, which means that they're well informed. They have the information. Imagine I go to you after doing my research and you tell me everything I just researched online. Does that position you as an expert? No, I'll just ignore you. You don't know anything. So how do we reposition ourselves? Now that we know that we're dealing with intelligent buyers, how do we do it? Well, guess what? That's why I'm here. Here's an example. It's going to be hard to read, so I'm going to read it out loud. But it's such a good example, I had to share it with you. Let's say you're going to the store, to Lowe's, Home Depot, and you need to buy some paint. You're going to paint your living room, right? You're looking at 2 cans of paint. Can A is $15, can B is $20. Initially, same color, maybe different brand, but pretty much both brands are good. Which one would you choose? Be honest. Look, in life, when 2 options are offered, you always take the cheap one to mitigate your risk. That's how life works. So you would choose, that's the mindset, right? So put yourself in that position. You're looking at the paints, right? You're looking at the paints. And then a salesperson walks up to you and says this. I'll read it out loud. I strongly recommend you Can B. It's a higher price, but it will last 8 years, whereas Can A will only last 4 years. That means that over 8 years, you'd have to buy Can A twice. If you buy Can A, you'll be paying $30 instead of $20. So in reality, Can B, in the long run, is going to cost less, and you only have to paint once versus twice. You with me already? Now, you say that to somebody. What do you think the response is going to be? Shut up. I don't care. This is client mindset. Client says, look, I don't care. I'm prepared to sell my house, so I really don't care how long your paint lasts. Right? Whoa, whoa. Like slow your roll, right? And all of a sudden, if you're the salesperson, now the moment. Here's the moment. The separator, the wheat from the chaff. It is what you say next that will determine whether that person is going to buy Can A or Can B. Here's what a person with insight would say to reframe the conversation, to regain the power position. Do you want to see it? Yeah. Now, I don't usually show this to just anybody, but I'm going to show it to you. Why? Yeah, there you go. Now, the salesperson says this. I understand, but I still think Can B is a better choice. Here's why. You see, Can B contains 50% more pigment, which results in better coverage than Can A. This means you'll need to apply only 1 coat. If you have a dark wall, you'll have to apply 2 coats with Can A, which will double your labor and double your cost. Whoa, did he just tell me something I didn't know? He just reframed the conversation for me. But I'm not convinced. I'm going, right? Because again, it's not enough to push it over, so to speak. So, But then, a salesperson comes over the top with more. He says something like this. Plus, you are guaranteed that your house will look freshly painted, which in turn will improve your what? Your chances of selling your house. Can you see how spending an additional $5 is a great investment to sell your house at this price? At this point, what did he do? He just reframed the whole conversation. You understanding this? And again, I see your point. Maybe let's buy. At the first part, we're talking price and cost. That was the person was only focused on price and cost. So by the time we got to this conversation, it was a reframe. Reframe is a shifting, a paradigm shift, a position, right? Through insight. And then the last one is the emotional impact. I want to sell my house. I want to sell it quickly. I want to get this done. That's insight. I'll give you a perfect example. So I've been married 25 years. Four different women, add up the years, doesn't matter. So, see, that was a joke. I always do that because I just love that joke. One wife, 25 years. Women just go all like, that's not funny, right? Right? One wife, 25 years, right? So my wife comes up to me one day and she says, we're going to do some landscaping. To celebrate our 25th year anniversary, we're going to do some landscaping. Now, my wife says we're doing landscaping. Fellas who've been married a long time, what are we doing? That's it, guys, right? Those are the smart guys that answered, right? You just do landscaping. So she's like, well, for our 25th year anniversary, we should do something special. Ta-da, right? And I'm like, well, what? She goes, we should get a designer. I have no ideas, you have no ideas. Superimpose that on me. But she goes, we're going to get a designer. I said, okay, well, how much does it cost? I go, well, let's look it up. Let me get back to you. That's what she always does, right? So she finds this website, finds a designer. The guy comes over, right? Guy comes over, he says, talks to us about what we want, listens carefully, right? And he says, I'll have somebody come out, take some measurements, and then we'll come back with some suggestions, right? But in order for us to lay out the drawing, $2,500 down. We're in. $2,500, we're in, right? Because you want a professional design. It's an acre property, you want it done right. So we said, sure, let's invest, right? So sure enough, the guy comes back about 2 weeks later, something like that, right? Guy comes back down. We told him what our budget is. I don't mind sharing. Because I was like, I don't want to spend more than $30,000. Now, that might freak you out, but got to understand, 25 years of marriage, I think I deserve that, and so does she. Well, it was really her idea, not mine, but you know what I mean. So the guy comes, and he presents something like $40,000, right? But here's the interesting part. Me and my wife, before the guy got there, we had that conversation, that spouse conversation. All right, now, we're not going to make a decision today, right? She's telling me this. This is funny. She's telling me we're not making a decision. I said, okay, whatever you say, sweetie, we're not making a decision today. Okay, all we're going to do is listen, but we're not going to make a decision, okay? And if it's out of our price range, it's out of our price range. I say, cool. Okay, we're not going to make a decision. I'm with the plan. I'm all in, right? Guy comes over, ding dong, come on in. Always go to the dining room table, right? Has the thing all rolled up, takes it out of the tube. At that point, I realize I'm in trouble because that's presentation style, right? And by the way, I don't tell him what I do. I just like to observe salespeople. So he pulls it out, and so he does this. He rolls it out, right? Holds it down. My wife looks at it. She goes, I said, no, do not. No inhaling. I said, don't do that. But I couldn't say it out loud, but I just wanted to, you know what I mean? I'm just like, don't do that. We don't even know what this is going to cost yet, right? Because we didn't know the price up to that point. She's like, and the sales guy had this smirk. Like, oh, dude, the line is in, baby. It's all about. And then, so he's going through design, laid out beautiful design. And then he says something like this. He goes, he's going through design, laying it out, and my wife says, are those Japanese maples right there? Calmly says, yes. Isn't that what you wanted? My wife says, yes, shut up! Because at this point, my negotiating position is just, right? And so we wound up doing the deal, I got to tell you. But here was the interesting part. It was $40,000, right? We bought that at $40,000. And the guy said 50% down, 50% when it's done. Now, we've had issues with contractors when we were in Miami. Anybody from Miami? Good. So wrong, Victor, so wrong, right? And so I said, last time I gave somebody my money, they ran away with it, if you know what I mean. So I'm talking to this guy, I'm like, well, I'm hesitating. He doesn't know what my real objection is. He can't uncover. The real objection is we got screwed in the past, we didn't want to get screwed again. So we finally figured out that we can do a third, right? But then he says something interesting to me. He says, look, Victor, I know you're concerned about me just taking your money and leaving. You don't know me. You don't know me. And he said, let me ask you a question. And I'm like, that's my line. I hate when people ask me that because that's my line, right? So he says to me, let me ask you a question. I said, yeah, because I got attitude at this point, yeah? Right? And he says, how many contractors do you hire a year? I said, what? I said, how many contractors do you hire a year, Victor? I go, I don't know. What do you mean, like plumber, electrician? He goes, yeah, how many contractors do you hire a year? I said, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 maybe, right? He said, that's about average. Average is about 4 or 5. He says, do you know how many clients like you I hire a year? I said, what? Say that again? Because do you know how many clients like you I hire a year? I said, what do you mean you're hiring me? He says, yeah, Victor, because when I look across the table, you're asking yourself, will I take your money? My question when I hire you as a client is, can you pay for it? And I was like, it ain't about the money, man. Look, dude, it ain't about the money. I got the money, right? I got the money. I'll show you my bank account. And that's when I caught myself. I said, I'm explaining myself to this guy. And at that point, it was because what he did was reframe the conversation. And it was like, on one hand, I was really mad at him, but from a sales training standpoint, I'm like, God, that was brilliant. I hate you, but that was brilliant. Because what he did was what? Refocus the conversation on why should I trust you, Victor? And at that point, I had to surrender, so to speak. Did I get a discount? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. No. Sorry, would like to come here with a great story, tell you I got the discount, but no. As soon as my wife said, Japanese maples, done. He knew it. All right. Now, the last one is, we got to educate. So the education part is the insight you have to provide. How do you reframe a conversation? But the last piece is the most important part. Most people don't want to be pressured into buying. Would you agree with that? Nobody wants to be pressured into buying. But is it possible to empower people to make a decision you want them to make? I think it is. Let's prove it. Here's what I want you to do. Grab a piece of paper. We put a piece of paper on top of your desk. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, real quick. We're going to do this real quick. Quick experiment. Now, I'm going to ask you to write down a number. Don't let your neighbor see it. I'm going to ask you to write down a number. Don't let your neighbor see it. Okay? Now, write down a number. Don't let your neighbor see it. Between 2 and 10. Write down any number between 2 and 10. Got it? Yes? All right. Take that number and multiply it by 9. Multiply by 9. You should now have a 2-digit number. If you don't have a 2-digit number, what should you do? Leave the room. Right? Because you're lost already. Now, I want you to take those 2 digits. I want you to add them together. You should have a new 2-digit, single-digit. You should have a single-digit number. You with me? Yes. All right. Subtract 5 from that number. Subtract 5 from that number. You should have a new single-digit number. Yeah. Now, that number corresponds to the letter of the alphabet. 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E. Write the letter down. Write the letter down. Got the letter? All right. Now here, listen carefully. Think of a European country. European country that begins with that letter. Write it down. Think of a European country that begins with that letter. Everybody got it? Okay. Now, look at the second letter in that country. Look at the second letter in that country. You see it? Think of a large land mammal that begins with that letter. Think of a large land mammal. All right. You got it? Also, write down the color of that mammal. Write down the color of the mammal. Did you write down the color? All right. Raise your hand if this makes sense. There are no gray elephants in Denmark. The boy's genius. Genius, genius. By the way, how many actually got it, by the way? How many actually got it? How many followed on? All right. Others are going, huh? Oh, well. All right. By the way, that is a cheap parlor trick to illustrate one thing. Just by a sequence of questions, I can guide you to the conclusion I've already predetermined for you. Because listen carefully. The average salesperson practices what to say. The superior salesperson practices what to ask. Therein lies the difference. Is that cool? Yes or no? All right. Now, why is having a sales process interesting? You'll win 48% more deals. Based on benchmark indexes studied, you'll have a shorter sales cycle and you'll generate twice the revenue per head. If you walk in there and you can empathize with your customer, then you can educate them on insight, information they don't have, information beyond the obvious, and then you can guide them to a conclusion by narrowing down the choices for them. You'll close more deals. Everybody with me so far? Now, this is depressing because Ebbinghaus has a curve, and Ebbinghaus did a study on memory. Here's what Ebbinghaus found out. Ebbinghaus found out that within 24 hours, you will forget 75% of what I said. How depressing is that for me? Right? Right? Totally depressing. What's even more depressing is at the end of 30 days, you'll forget 90% of what I said. And the 10% you're able to recall, 50% of that is incorrect. Depressing. But don't worry, I have a solution for you. What if I just gave you some video programs? Is that cool? All right. So these are the different video programs. I'm going to highlight 2. One is Monday Morning Sales Workout. This comes with worksheets, videos that every Monday you can work with your sales team. So if you're a manager, this is a great program. Value-centric selling really comes down to how do you position your product with value? Because there's 3 things, listen carefully, especially if you sell B2B. There's 3 things clients and companies want in a B2B market. Help me increase my revenue, help me reduce my cost, or help me expand my market share. I'm sorry, but that's as simple as it gets. When you talk to anybody in a large corporation, those are the three things they want. And if it's a personal product, how can you help me personally? How can you help me psychologically? Or how can you help me financially? When you understand what drives people, you can sell more effectively. Now, you can download that from SellingerGroup.com or VictorAntonio.com. Also, because I love you, you get to download my books. There's some books on sales. There's some books on motivation. I also have a documentary called The Motivator. It's about who? Thank you. You can download that as well. And if you go to VictorAntonio.com, now all that is free, no email required. Very cool? I was going to sell it to you, but Clifton said no. So thank Clifton afterwards. So cool. All right, everybody with me? Now, here's a question I often get. Vic, where are you from? Get that up. My family's from Puerto Rico. Boricua in the house. Anybody? Boricua, only one? Nobody? Okay, well, I got one sympathizer. Thank you. Right? My family moved from Puerto Rico in the late 50s. And it's funny because we were poor. We're talking food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk, raised near the Cabrini Green housing projects, right? Rat-tat-tat at night type of thing. You know, a lot of drugs, a lot of gangs, a lot of violence. And so went to school, got the education, got the J.O.B. You know, people always ask me, Victor, what motivated you to go to get an engineering degree, an MBA? I always say to my mother, how does she do it? With a sandal. Who knows what I'm talking about? Clap. Right? Remember that? My mother was like Clint Eastwood. You had to see her. My mother could unholster a sandal in front of you. You wouldn't see it. It'd be like right there. It'd be like right there. You wouldn't see it. You know? And I remember one day, I got to tell you this story, side story. One day I get home, right? And all of a sudden, my mother says, now, first of all, you know when your parents are not in a good mood? You know, there's something wrong. And they had that look. You can almost hear that music in the background. Like something's going to go down, right? And so I remember one day I walk in, my mother had the screw face on. And I looked at her, and she said to me in Spanish, ven aquí, come here. And I said, no. Yeah, see? And like, you ever had something slip out? You wish it was like the Matrix. You could stop the movie, go grab the words, and wait a minute, that shouldn't have come out, right? But it was too late. So as soon as I did that, she went like, you could hear it. You know, that, and I'm like, so I turned around and I started running, right? Took 2 steps. And by the second step, I heard a whistling sound. A clear indication that the sandal was airborne, right? And I remember that thing was like, man, that thing had like a radar guidance system on it. Because it was like under the table, around the corner, nothing but head. Here's your blanket, sleep there, you wake up the next day, it's okay. And so mom was like, go to school, get the education, get the J.O.B. But I want to leave you with something today. Because, you know, I go around the world speaking. I started speaking in high school, colleges. After this, I go to Dubai and speak there. And it's interesting because the process of sales doesn't change no matter where you're at. You know, whether I'm in Bangkok, whether I'm in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, whether I'm in the UK, it doesn't matter. Everywhere, throughout Latin America, same thing, the sales process is the sales process. Our buyers are more informed, they're smarter, they're better at what they do, and unless we learn to be more insightful in how do we reframe something, then we're going to have problems. Now, there's a lot of pictures here. People always ask me, Victor, what's your secret sauce for selling? What's your secret sauce for success? I'm going to give you one story, maybe 2 if I like you. But people always ask me, by the way, how many people saw the movie The Hunt for Red October? Okay, a few people, right? Remember the movie? It was Sean Connery, right? Russian submarine, U.S. submarine. Well, my first job out of college was working for Honeywell. Now listen carefully, just personal data. I graduated with a 2.63 grade point average. Give it up. Listen carefully, this is important. It took me 5.5 years to graduate. Give it up. Now see, that was a test. Based on your reaction, I could tell the positive people from the negative people. Yeah, I know you, I got you. I got you. See, positive people are like 2.63. I don't care, 5.5 years, that boy graduated. I don't care. He graduated. Negative people are like, I'm not clapping for that. 2.63. That's because you're negative. See, in your mind, a 2.63 is a... No, see, it's not a B. It's a B minus. See, it's not a C plus. It's a B minus. It's all how you look at it, man. That's perspective there. So I graduated as an engineer. That should scare you at this point, right? And so I was working on the torpedo system for Honeywell. Yes. By the way, did you know that the average millionaire in the United States was a C average student? Oh, you're not laughing at me now, are you? So here's the way the torpedo works. It's a fascinating tool. So what happens is they drop the torpedo from a helicopter or they launch it from a ship. It's called the Mach 46 or the Mach 50, right? And what happens is as soon as the torpedo hits the water, it begins, the sonar turns on and it begins to ping. You know that boom, boom. And the way it works is that it emits a sound, it bounces off an object, returns that signature, that profile, that silhouette of the object, and what is it looking for? The other submarine, right? So the submarine goes in the water, begins its circular pattern, and it begins to ping. Go ahead. Boom. Oh, yeah. And then it goes, I think I found it. So it moves off in this direction, right? And it pings. Gets a better picture. Gets a better picture that says, underwater rock formation, not what I'm looking for. Breaks off the attack. Goes back into its circular pattern again, right? Starts pinging again. Then it goes, I think I found it. Moves off in that direction. Pings, it goes, school of fish, not what I'm looking for. Breaks off the attack again. It'll go after a whale, but you don't want to hit it with a whale with a torpedo. That's overkill, right? So it does it, but here's what's interesting about the torpedo. It has something called artificial intelligence. It has what they call a blackboard architecture. And here's how it works. When it goes after something, and it doesn't hit its target, doesn't find its target, does the torpedo give up? No. It rewrites its own programming. It basically says, okay, from now on, if it looks like this, walks like that, don't go after it. And it codes that automatically. When it goes after the school of fish, it goes, okay, if they move like this too quickly, or they're scattered, that's not what I want. It writes that into its program. But eventually, what happens? It finds its target. Now, to me, that is the perfect analogy for what life and business is, especially in selling. See, because when we start out in selling, sometimes we screw the sale up. You ever been to that one? Raise your hand. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It's an intervention right now, right? What happens is, you said something you shouldn't, you present the price at the wrong time, you do something. But now, when the torpedo goes after something and it doesn't hit its target, does it say, you know what, I'm taking my munitions home. I'm done. No, right? It continues to what? That's all it does. That's what a torpedo does. So rule number one is that if you go after something, you try something new and it doesn't work the first time, rewrite the program. One study showed that 78% of the population is either unhappy or would rather be doing something else. 78% of the population is either unhappy or would rather be doing something else. I submit to you what happened was they went after something. And when it wasn't what they wanted, what do you think most people do? They just stand there. And then they rationalize it, right? They rationalize. They have a job. Well, I just took this job for the money. And that's what they say to themselves. I'm only going to do this for a year. And then, you know what? I'll just stay here for a year. Who knows? Maybe my boss will get hit by a truck and things will change. Right? Right? But you ever take the word rationalize and break it apart? The ability to ration lies to ourselves. Isn't that what we do? We always rationalize why we don't want to do something or why we should do something. And that's why we're stuck in these positions sometimes. But the real answer is, if you fail at something, it's okay to what? Dart off in another direction till you figure it out. It costs every time, every iteration, you just get what? Smarter. Yes or no? Yes. But the fear holds us back. Yes or no? Yes. Did you know that 60% of what you worry about never comes to pass? 20% of what you worry about is in the past, so who cares? 10% of what you worry about, if it came to pass, wouldn't impact you. The remaining 10%, if it came to pass, wouldn't kill you. Right? Said again, the majority of stuff you worry about either never comes to pass or doesn't even matter if it comes to pass because it never impacted you. But that's why we're afraid to do new things. And so again, we have to get over the fear of doing new things. And my wife kind of broke me in on this one, right? Because I'm very habitual. You know how you get into a habit? You only do certain things? And my wife one day says we're going on vacation. Fellas, when the wife says we're going on vacation, so I said, where are we going? She goes, let me think about it. Again, right? She comes back, she goes, we're going on a cruise. I said, where are we going? She goes, we're going to do a Caribbean cruise. And it goes down to Mexico, down into Latin America. I said, okay. So I got 2 kids, right? Boy, girl, right? So the first port of call, we go to Mexico. My little girl, the great one. You know what I mean. You know, dads, if you got a little girl, you know what I'm talking about. The great one says, I want to go horseback riding on the beach. When your little girl, the great one, says, I want to go horseback riding on the beach, what are you going to do as a father? Take her horseback riding on the beach. So we went horseback riding on the beach. My son says we get to Belize or Guatemala, and he says, I want to go ATV in the rainforest. So we go ATV in the rainforest, right? My wife demands, she goes, oh, when we get to Belize, we're going to do a zip lining tour. Now, how many know what I'm talking about already? See, I didn't know. So I go, what's zip lining? She goes, I just, tree, wire. Not a big deal. Now, she knows, because we've been married how many years? She knows I'm afraid of heights. But she made it sound like, it's just going to be some small trees, right? Not a big deal, right? I don't know any better. So I said, okay. So I remember we're in the Jeep, and we drive into this thick of woods, right? And all of a sudden, the canopy opens up. We get out, and I look up, and I see these people that small. And I'm like, no. I am not getting up there. No, I'm not doing this. That's it. I'm out of here. Then my little girl, the great one, comes up to me and says that one word that would just melt any father's heart. What is that? No. She goes, sissy. You don't know my girl. I raised her hard, right? She goes, sissy. I go, now, fellas, when your girl calls you a sissy, I don't care who you are. It's time to what? Man up. So I said, all right, I'll do this thing. I'll do it, right? So we get to the platform, right? And they put that harness thing on you, right? And the guy then gives you, if you've done it, a glove. Has a rawhide piece of leather right there. The guy says, that's your braking system. So what happens is you put the pulley on the wire, if you haven't done it, and you zzz that way. You hold on to this hand, and you zzz that way. He says, this is your braking system. What I want you to do, he says, is let your hand ride on top of the wire. And if you want to slow down, you go tap, tap, tap. He said, whatever you do, do not try to stop on the dime or your arm will come out of its socket. I'm like, dude, too much information, man. I'm like, really? I have visuals already, right? So there we are on the platform. We're ready to go. I let my wife and kids go first because that's what real men do, right? Don't judge me. Society always says, women and children, that's all I'm saying, right? And so it's my turn. So finally they go, and that was a mistake because my son got to the other side and he has a camera, right? Video camera. I didn't realize he was going to turn it on. So it's my turn, right? And I'm on the thing, I'm on the platform. And I remember I'm like, I don't know if he pushed me off or I jumped. I don't know. I like to think I jumped and took the man up position, right? I just jumped. And so all of a sudden, I start zipping, right? And if you ever done, and then all of a sudden I say to myself, don't look down. You ever tell your brain something? And it does the exact opposite. You're like, so I look down and man, I can just feel, the juice coming up, if you know what I mean. Just like, I know after lunch I shouldn't tell you this, but it's like, and I'm holding that thing. And then I'm like flailing. I got pictures, but I won't show them to you. I got video, but you never see that. But because I'm like flailing like this going, And then when you zip, you start, he says, because the guy said to me, now listen carefully. You're going to start zipping, and you're going to start picking up speed. He says, and when you get halfway, you're going to be going real fast. The problem is you don't see the other tree. He says, if you've done it, it's how many? It's like 5, 6, 7 zips. So I'm doing this thing, I'm almost dying. And then to get off the platform, I thought they'd have like an escalator, right, or something to climb down. But they make you what? Rappel. You know what I'm talking about? Butt out. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I finally get down, look at my daughter like, how you like me now? I tried to hold the face. I really did. But they had the video. They couldn't do anything about it. But here's the interesting thing. On the way out, they gave us a shirt. And the shirt had their logo on it on the front. But on the back, it had something that I still remember to this day. And it said on the back, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Isn't that a beautiful line? Ask yourself, we're at the beginning of the year. When was the last time you did something for the first time? What do you got planned this year that's so different that you're going to do it this year? That one thing, don't do like people do a laundry list. Just one big thing this year, you're going to get it done. Is everybody with me? Yeah. So in order for me to believe you, you got to take the pledge. Please get up. Everybody's taking the pledge. Everybody up? All right. Fingers up in the air just like this. Repeat after me and do what I do. I pledge allegiance, to my thing. All right, some of you are confused. I understand. Put your fingers down, but don't sit down. All right, let me explain something. In life, there's a fundamental difference between the thing and the thing. Let me explain. In life, if you do something you don't like, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons, that's a thing. You'll never be happy, and when you do a thing, you'll always have a JOB, which stands for just over broke, because that's what you'll always be when you do a thing. So in life, we don't want to do a thing, we want to do a what? Man, because when you do your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. Because it's your what? thing. And when you do your thing, the law of attraction finally kicks in because that's who you are. So fingers back up in the air. I pledge allegiance to my thing. Man, look at your thing. Let it know you care. To my thing. I will rise above. Doing what I love. I will make that dough. Look how happy you got. You're like, one more time. I will make that dough. Doing what I know. And those who laugh, louder like you mean it. And those who laugh can kiss my, can kiss my assets. Can kiss my assets. NSN, thank you very much. You guys have been great. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Victor Antonio doing his thing. We're going to bring back up Clifton here. I have something to present to you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Give him another big round of applause. Have you been enjoying yourself? Oh my goodness. It's been a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Are you going to come up, Clifton? And oh, you're going to... Let's see, the 9th Annual State of the Organization Jazz Brunch Sales Network, LA Chapter, keynote speaker, Victor Antonio, the 8th of February, 2014. We present this with our most gracious thank yous. Yeah, you look. The key behind that, he says, read that. And that's all it said. It didn't have anything on it, so I was trying to make up something to go with it.